and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you doing? Welcome back. Thanks for popping by. We are in 2012, and we're in the capable hands, once again, of Tom Cruise. And this week, we are looking at Jack Reacher, a movie which caused, well, a fair amount of consternation amongst fans of the Lee Child creation, because the character in the books was 6'5" and 200 pounds or so, and well, Tom's not, let's be fair, but luckily the author Lee Child couldn't give two hoots, because as far as he was concerned, having the biggest actor in the world be excited about his project and wanting to firstly produce it and then star in it was good enough for him. And so they needed to create something rather exciting, and I think they did. I really do. I think it's an excellent film. The second one as well is worth a look if you haven't seen it. There's also a television series called Reacher, and that's now whether that's based on some of the original books or whether that's based on new stories, I'm not entirely certain. However, we are focusing on the first film from 2012. Stunt coordinator is a guy called Paul Jennings. If you are familiar with my channel, you will be familiar with Paul Jennings. He plays a big part in it because we featured a BBC television series called The Visit, and it effectively followed him in his dream to become a stuntman, followed him from his training, through his many meetings with Equity, obtaining an Equity card, working through the night and training through the day to get all his qualifications, and then finally managing to get onto the stunt register and get himself a job on a movie called Nightbreed, which was the first picture that he worked on back in 1993, I suppose it would be. I suppose that's how long it took, more or less, to get through. And so that's his story. I mean, he's a fascinating character, going from that to being one of the most sought-after stunt coordinators and second unit performers the world over is you know, a fairly successful rags to riches story. You may also have seen him in Alien 3, that fall that happens at the end of Alien 3 where she falls from the balcony into the flames. That's Paul. Paul did that. So a lot of excitement around him. He's also responsible for Batman Begins. That was him, the stunt coordinator on the first Batman picture. So has gone from strength to strength. He is in association on this particular picture. That's difficult to say. In this particular picture, with a guy called Rob Alonzo, who you will have seen over the years in all manner of pictures. He is a terrific fight arranger and coordinator, and particularly here has developed a style of fighting which was developed from Spanish gypsies, believe it or not. You look at we're going to show you some of the making of footage and working out some of the fight routines, and you will note that there are some very interesting hand movements. It's based on street fighting, and there's a bit of cage element to it as well. So there's a lot to take in, but it's really, really very, very good. The final edit is spectacular. If you haven't seen the movie, I urge you to do so, but here's a flavour of what's gone on as far as the action is concerned. Tom Cruise is Jack Reacher, or he was for 2 movies anyway, and we're going to start with the fight work. This was a terrific sequence. If you remember this, he said, look, you wanted this. Remember, you wanted this. And the fight scenes themselves, they're filmed in such a way to make him look and act as invincible as he possibly can. But these moves are very clever. They come from a different source, from a street fighting type source. And here is stunt coordinator Paul Jennings to tell us more about it.
He's got to be a threatening guy. It's not a defense system. He is someone who will hurt you in order to defend himself. And if you enter that arena, you're going to get hurt.
Ooh. Really? Run, guys, run! Cut, really nice. Cut! That's good. Are you all right? Good.
We met these guys who have a fighting system called KC fighting method. And it's a street fighting method developed by the gypsies in Spain, actually, by a guy called Justo Dieguez and his co-founder Andy Norman. And it's a system which basically says, if you come into my space, I'm going to destroy you. So don't come into my space. And we thought that would work really well for Reacher.
I don't want anything to get too over choreographed, so I trained him how to fight in that particular style. I worked with him for about a couple months, and pretty much on a daily basis.
Sometimes 12 o'clock at night, Tom will come in and go, let's do 2 hours training. It's 24/7. He's, boom, you know, let's train.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big moment. See that bring back. Yep.
Rob Alonzo actually taught Tom how to fight for this movie, so that when he goes into a fight mentally, he's there. He's there. He knows he can take you down. He's not an actor doing moves. He's an actor fighting.
All right, let's shoot, guys. We're ready. Number ones, please. We're ready to shoot.
So the bathroom fight. Now this is, the idea was that it needs to be very, very confined. The baseball bat thing, that needs to be done in such a way that the audience get the impression that Tom's been clocked, all right? So it's done in such a way, the camera is this side of the door frame, look, and look at the frame closest. That's the one that takes the impact, but that has to give the impression of a glancing blow, and these two are trying to rush through a small doorway to get at him. The bathroom is maybe slightly smaller than it should be, and not only with Casey O'Neill, his stunt double, but also in conjunction with Paul Jennings and Rob Alonzo and the director, they're working out ways to film it to give the impression that it's much smaller than it is. He has to land in the bathroom. He has to land in the bathtub itself. He can see them swinging. He has to lie down in the bath. They miss. They have to hit the furniture, hit the glass, hit the tiles, the far side. That's got to break as well. Bang, there it goes. And then on take two, all of that's got to be rebuilt. The window's got to be redone. The bathtub has to be repadded. There's a number of things that need to be done in order to get it right. But when you're filming it at speed and editing it at speed, it does give the impression, firstly, that the entire fight is frantic, but that there is such a small space in there that it is so confined, you find it difficult to contemplate this fight actually taking place in that small space. And so again, working everything out to the last detail. These are the final shots of this, where he comes out and gets hit by the other guy, and then he pushes the two of them right the way across to the other side before banging their heads together. So it's all done in little shots. Camera angles are important. Look, he's down on the floor here, and all of this takes that element of risk to a new level. Let's take a look at the quarry fight, and again, here's Paul Jennings.
Turning you feel wet enough, guys. Feeling good? We're good! Your cams rolling? Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action!
We had this fight in the rain in this wonderful quarry, but that was night work. And it was raining, we were putting rain in there. It was Tom's idea, the rain.
So, the rain, all the elements taken into consideration. Tom's idea to have the rain, obviously. Loves a bit of rain. And it's a good fight, you know, it's these two characters working it out together.
It's fantastic, it looks fantastic, it's amazing atmosphere and a great fight. But 12 hours at night in a quarry. Oh, that was hard work, but in the end, anything that's good is normally hard.
He's right too, If it's difficult to film, then it's definitely worth looking at, and it is impressive on screen. The driving, another big section of this film. That's the motor that they're going to be using, and everybody will have had a look at this. As I say, Casey and the police cars going about, and then you get Reacher coming up through the barriers here, looking at it from a different point of view. This is inside. This is Tom. This is Tom doing this because he had the opportunity to work it out with Casey O'Neill. And then everything else, of course, is worked out with the cars. We've seen the cars in action before. Simply a case of making sure that everybody knows what they're doing. ND drivers in this as well. Different camera positions, so you can always see Tom behind the wheel in varying slides. There he is racing up the street like a scalded cat. And again, we'll throw the car into a slide. He's been doing this type of thing for years, so is very, very capable of doing it. But again, you can't risk anything. Runs through the camera positions, puts the director in there and says, right, look, this is what we're going to do, and then takes off and shows him what it is. And if the director, from his perspective, looking through the windscreen, is going, hey, this is good, there's Casey giving him final pointers as he comes out of the tunnel, slides it into the water barrels from another angle, slide, bang, into the back there, So all of these visual takes, then he's got to look, he takes it out of gear, hits the emergency brake and slides it one way over this. Look, it goes up and over the top. You see they've built a little build-up at one side to get up and down the curb there. And it's impressive enough to do, but that's the actor. They've got the cameras in there. Tom Cruise doing what Tom Cruise does. And like it or not, it's effective. But take into consideration that his stunt double and everybody else is working it out to the last detail to make sure that he is safe and sound. There we go. I told you that was good. There's a number of terrific elements involved there. And yes, we've discussed it in the past in connection with Tom and the claims surrounding Tom as far as doing all of his own stunts. You note in there that Casey O'Neill is in there with him. Casey is his stunt double and will test everything prior to him getting in it. So that whole driving sequence, for instance, Casey would have been in there first with Tom beside him. They'd have gone through that routine. They'd have gone from point A to point B. They'd have zigzagged up and down the road, and he'd have said, you can do that, can't you? And Tom would have gone, yeah, I can do that. And then they wouldn't got to done it. And then he put Tom driving, and the director would get in next to Tom, and off they would go. So, that's how all of this happens. The testing for all of this has to take place. There's no point testing it with the star, particularly a star who's producer, because he's going to be involved in a number of other aspects of filming. And so Casey is there to do the job as far as that's concerned. So he's in there, and they get as much done as they possibly can with him before Tom turns up to do the take itself. But as Paul said himself, he's busy. Tom is busy the whole time. Midnight, it's not unusual for midnight to come round, get a phone call from TC who says, I'm outside your door, we're going training. Okay. Well, logically you go, do you ever sleep? Just go to bed. Go to bed, leave me alone, please. Call me, give me 5 hours and then I'll be up. But now, are you serious? And then you may never work on the picture again. You may never work in the business again. That's the type of response that logically you'd go, oh, I'm not having this. I can't believe this. Again, Tom, really? But that's why he does what he does. That's why he's as pumped as he is on these pictures, because he eats, sleeps and drinks the whole thing 24/7. And if you don't do the same, you're going to miss the bus. And that's what Paul was mentioning there. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't seen the Jack Reacher stuff, go and see it. It's well worth it. Those first 2 pictures are very, very good. And I'm reliably informed that the TV show is bob on as well. So that's worthwhile having a shufty at. Next week, not going to tell you. Not going to tell you because it's quite special. And I'm very excited. So I'll leave you on the edge of your seats. Well, until next time, bye for now.